What's up, everybody, and welcome back to the channel. With the October 10th Ultimate Frayner patch, of course, we also saw a new Void Intercept boss, which is Deathstalker. Deathstalker is, of course, available over here, right behind Tony. So, of course, you have to have killed Gluttony to be able to get a shot at Deathstalker. Now, Deathstalker, first of all, I just want to mention the fact that I personally feel like Deathstalker is a much pug-friendlier boss than Gluttony. I feel like I had a much easier time getting some kills in on Deathstalker, especially once I understood the mechanics, than I had in Gluttony. And more importantly, it feels like it's an easier boss to actually fight with randoms, which is a big deal, because most of the time, especially now with the community slightly dwindling and not a lot of people playing the game anymore, it might be that you're one of the last guys left in your friendship group playing this game, so you're gonna have to partner up with some randoms. And it seems like Deathstalker is a little bit easier for this. So what I want to do in this video is I just want to run through some of Deathstalker's abilities, basically explaining what you should watch out for. I want to cover the basic strat that you can follow to essentially kill this boss. And then I also want to give some tips and pointers to which descendants will have a better chance of success, which modules you should look at for potentially putting onto your descendant, and so on. But first things first, of course, Deathstalker is a poison, a toxin, or a toxic intercept boss. So that means all of the damage is going to be coming from that arena, from that element. So of course, be aware that as much as you can stack your toxin resistance, that would obviously be to your benefit. I'm going to have some footage playing in the background here, and I'm going to cover some of the abilities that this boss uses. But I also want to mention the fact that I have not encountered a wipe mechanic with this boss yet. I've got a couple of kills under my belt now, but I've not yet seen a mechanic that the boss employs that wipes the entire group. However, this is a very damage intensive fight. The damage that this boss deals is regular, is big, and unless you can mitigate it in one of the ways, which of course I will also explain, you are going to die, since it's relentless and it's just a huge amount of incoming damage. Now, first things first, the boss shoots these, well, let's actually start with the circle. So this is very much like something that you see with Pyro, only this is the toxic version of it. The only difference is with Pyro, you only see this every once in a while when the boss essentially goes into his phase for this, whereas Deathstalker constantly has these rings coming out. Now, of course, you can duck under them if they're coming over your head, or you can jump over them, but these actually hit quite hard and will actually deal a lot of damage to you. Next up, we also have these skulls that the boss shoots out. Now, these skulls can be shot down, and you should absolutely do so. Basically, what these skulls do, as well as a debuff that the boss inflicts on you, is essentially halves your max HP. And this is a very important fact that we should probably talk about a little bit more just now. But basically, this is something that you need to try and avoid as much as possible. So if you're able to shoot these skulls down before they hit you, that's obviously a good idea as well. Next up, every once in a while, the boss is going to spawn these circles. They have watches inside them, and basically what you have to do is you have to capture them. They like capture the flag objectives. So you kind of like just go stand in them. You'll see there's a little ring that builds around you, and you need to capture this as soon as possible. More people standing in these at a time will capture them quicker. And the reason why you are trying to capture these is if there are any of these that reach the end of their timer, it will allow the boss to shoot out a massive missile, basically, that deals a huge amount of damage, and this will go to a random person in the group. So it's not if you fuck up with your clock that it's going to hit you. You might cause a teammate to die, so obviously be sure to get on these rings as well. And then last but certainly not least, obviously the boss is just going to be flying around and shooting like normal. So the general rules apply when it comes to a Void Intercept boss, and that is that if you have the aggro and you cannot deal with that damage, then you should be using the geometry and stuff like that in the map to essentially avoid getting taken down. Now, at some point when you've dealt enough damage to the boss and he enrages, he is going to have an invulnerability phase. And at this point in time, what he's going to do is he's going to drop down 5 of these totems onto the map. Now, 4 of the 5 are going to have an open face, and 1 of the 5 is going to have a closed face with essentially these claws across the eyes. That is the one that you should go to. And as soon as you arrive there, then basically it's going to despawn the other ones. If anybody actually tries to go into the circles of the open face ones, it will electrocute them and deal damage to them. But basically what's going to happen is you are going to stand in the circle with the closed face one, and it will start spawning these green laser beams, right? And what you need to do is you need to make sure that these green laser beams are hitting the totem in the middle. What this will do is it will actually destroy the totem, and that will clear the invulnerability effect, and you can get back to damaging the boss. These are all of the attacks that the boss does. And that's why I said that it's important to mention that this boss doesn't have a wipe mechanic, but it is going to feel fucking insane with the amount of damage that the boss is actually dealing and that he's pushing out on you the whole time. Now, let's talk about what you can do to deal with that damage and which descendants are better specifically for this. Now, of course, this boss, let's just quickly go back there again. This boss's element that he takes the most damage from is lightning, and at the moment right now we have two lightning descendants in the game. Of course, we have Sharon and we have Bunny. Now, Bunny, generally speaking, is a terrible descendant for void intercept bosses, but in this particular case, if you have someone that understands what they're doing and knows how to play it, Bunny can be really good here. And that's for two reasons. One, Bunny has, of course, AoE that, you know, they can do, and with stuff like high voltage, they can shoot out the AoEs, and so bunnies can clean up the skull that get shot out the whole time, as well as all of the, you know, like ads and everything like that that spawn can also be killed by the bunny. So bunny is generally pretty good here if the person knows what they're doing. And of course, if you're playing bunny, then yes, you should absolutely be dealing damage to the boss, but you should also be completely worrying about cleaning up the ads, cleaning up the skulls, and essentially lending that assistance to the team. Then when it comes to, in my opinion, the two best descendants that you can possibly run in this void intercept boss, the first one would be Enzo, and then the second one would probably be, I would say, most likely Ajax. And the reason for that is I would say vastly different. Firstly, when it comes to Enzo is a decent damage dealer, but can also offer a lot of additional damage to the team, and you can also build Enzo to be incredibly tanky. Now, one of the things that's very important in this fight against this void intercept boss is because most of the damage is aimed at your HP bar. So if you were to build your descendant to be more towards stacking shield, then this is a very, very powerful way for you to essentially stay alive and to avoid a lot of damage in this fight. So shield based Enzo is really, really powerful here. I've had a huge amount of success with the more Enzos I have in a team. It seems the better success chance we have of surviving, because you're just taking far less damage, and because you can use your third skill to essentially just make yourself invulnerable. Because like, if you look at me right now, if I can just move my face over here, I have 27,000 shield, so I can essentially just keep this up indefinitely by always using my third skill, and I can just stay alive forever while giving my teammates additional damage, and also shooting with, you know, something like fucking Enduring Legacy and dealing a lot of damage. So Enzo, shield based Enzo is really good. Any shield based descendant would be really good. And the name of the game here is Overwhelming Shield. If you take Overwhelming Shield, this is a fantastic fucking mod for you to take. If you take this, then stack as much HP as you can from other sources like your external components and so on, and it's going to turn you into an absolute fucking behemoth, and you're going to be able to soak a lot of damage. Then, as I said, Ajax is a fucking monster here as well, and that's because almost all of Ajax shields, and for some reason I can't switch to Ajax right now, all of Ajax shields, so all of Ajax abilities basically allow you to block the skulls and most of the incoming damage from this boss, so you can add a lot of defense to your team. As I mentioned before, there are capture objectives in this, right? So you have to stand in that circle and then soak the green laser and then basically get that thing to be electrocuted, and also you have to capture those watches, and in those times you have to be standing still in an area, and this is when the boss peppers a huge amount of damage on you. And Ajax can be an absolute fucking game changer here, because you can throw up barriers, you can throw up hypercube and things like that, and that will block a lot of this skull based damage and essentially some of the damage coming in. So Ajax is really good here as well. Then and actually I have some footage, I'll probably play it in the background right now, but for some reason VS just really fucking smokes this boss. Now if we look at the boss's damage over here, the boss is strong against ice, but it sure doesn't fucking feel that way, because 2 of the kills that I've managed to get, Viesa was absolutely just smoking this boss with Blizzard. It was the same player, by the way, and he might have something funky going on with his build, but that was really good. So that was very impressive. But basically the bottom line is this, that you are going to have to deal with the mechanics of this. So you are going to have to deal with the fact that you have to find that totem and everything like that. I've yet to see a team. I think I have 6 or 7 kills now under my belt. Those times that I've managed to be successful, we have played almost like in a way of like a battle of attrition. I definitely believe there's a way that you can fast push this boss, and I think it comes down to using something like Sharon and then essentially dumping a lot of damage onto the boss, because the boss is weak against lightning and you can increase your lightning damage. So if you get a bunch of lightning guns and shit like that, I think you'll be able to fucking absolutely demolish this boss. But the times that I've been successful, it has been a case of almost like a battle of attrition, meaning like you keep everybody alive, shoot the skulls out of the sky, lend your teammates help, deal damage when you can. When you have to capture stopwatch circles, do that. When you have to deal with his invulnerability by fucking working the totem, do that. But essentially just play the clock and make sure everybody's alive, buff everybody up, deal damage and everything like that. There is no global wipe mechanic, anything like that. So even if you take the entire fucking 8 minutes or 10 minutes or something like that to kill the boss, a kill is a kill, and you can do that. And you can do this almost like slow is steady, and steady gets you there. So my advice would be, think about stacking shield or something like that. I do want to make one more call out on a really fucking powerful mod for this fight as well. And that happens to be, if I can find it now, 1 second. It happens to be over here, Perfect Anti-Venom. This is really good as well if you decide to not go the shield route. If you want to go the traditional HP route and you want to stack defense, HP and all of that stuff, this can be really good, because the poison ticks from this boss is also something that usually kills people. So poison, of course, is really irritating because it puts a dot on you, and essentially what Perfect Anti-Venom does is it neutralizes that dot factor. It does also increase your toxin resistance by 30%. So if you put a bunch of resistance on yourself already and then slap this on, you're gonna have a massive amount of resistance. But the main thing here is it makes you poison immune, meaning like the dot itself cannot take a foot on your health bar and actually diminish your HP. But again, I will finish off here by saying that this boss is a lot easier than I thought that it was gonna be. Of course, it deals a huge amount of upfront damage, and I did have a bunch of attempts at the beginning when I was starting to learn the fight, and also learning exactly when I can deal damage and when I have to concentrate on healing myself. But once you get into that ebb and flow, you're gonna be just fine. And that's about it. One last thing I want to mention though, there seems to be some rumor or something going around, and it's weird though, but I'm only mentioning it here because it's something that I heard and something that somebody said to me on Discord, and it seemed fucking weird, but then it kind of like felt like that's the way. But it kind of seems like the very first time you fight this boss, up until you get your first kill, you are put into groups when you matchmake with other people that also haven't killed the boss first. Now, this could be complete fucking hearsay. I'm the first one to admit that. But the funny thing is this. I had a bunch of attempts on the boss where I had people that had very low damage that showed up with fucking like level 20 out of 40 and all kinds of weird shit and everything like that. And I was like, bro, like this is like, the people are really not trying with this right now. And then when I got that first kill, immediately after that, I was able to get another 3 kills in a row. So just by simply restart queuing, not the same people, but after I got my first kill, I went restart, kill, restart, kill, restart, kill, 4 in a row. And then on the 5th one, I failed again with a group. So there seems to be some, like I said, some rumor going around that the very first kill that you have to get with him, you will be paired up with other people who also haven't had a kill yet. So bear in mind that there is going to be a learning curve. You are probably going to get a little bit frustrated and everything like that. It is what it is, but then it does seem that for some reason, once you've gotten that first kill, then you start getting paired with other people who have actually also got the kills, and then it just seems to go nuts. Like the second kill after that first kill was like fucking insane. Like we killed the boss in like, I don't know, like fucking 2.5 minutes or something like that. It was nuts. So yeah, good luck with the boss. I hope you get some good drops. I've got a couple of pieces already of Frost Watcher. Of course, I'm going to be building that. I'll be bringing a video of that to the channel as well. Other than that, it's just super important to me that you have a fantastic morning, afternoon, evening, wherever you are in the world. Till next video, fucking cheers.